physics versus Republicans and Democrats. You basically have a situation where 10% of Republicans can hold up. They can stand up, they can grasp, they can listen, they can understand. Democrats, it's about 30%, 30 plus. So you got a 3-to-1 ratio at any given time on almost any subject where you can legitimately say what is the incompetence factor. And the incompetence factor is going to be less than 70 for Democrats, and the incompetence factor for Republicans is going to be high 80s. So this is not funny. You know, when you have those of us that understand the tactical table to say, hey, look, we're trying to convey something, and they just don't get it. They just can't grasp it. And then say, look, you don't understand. You know, if we're just looking at commerce, the difference between China and the United States. I mean, it's a worldwide thing. But if you just sit there and look at China versus the United States, and, you know, I'm talking about the difference between doers and people not doing. I'm talking about basic production, you know, because we have gross inefficiency of our citizens right now. We're not providing opportunity and backing and guaranteeing hard asset growth at an individual citizen level, and that's just insanity. The problem with Republicans versus quantum physics is their incompetence is so bad they're going to get us all killed. You know, among the people that really have the brains to do the math on this stuff, and this includes people at the Pentagon, there is this problem trying to explain to certain people who just can't hold it in their head what it is they're doing. The comparisons between what we're doing, what China's doing, and what we have to do. And the numbers here of what we must do to maintain a technological grip is a massive set of numbers, which means it affects everything. It affects everything. It affects the way we're going to have to drive the economy. It's just massively large, you know. And these are variable, estimates here, where there's certain things we can only theorize because we don't know exactly how many people are working on certain problems, and we don't know exactly how much equipment they have. But when we're looking at just raw numbers in various areas, it's a staggering area, because we have people that are trying to equate an understanding in these areas that aren't qualified to understand how to even equate a decent set of analyst information. So in other words, you have people that are bringing up reports that are Republicans saying, well, this is what we got and this is what we think it is. And they don't understand enough about the math to begin with to understand its applications, which means it's like bozo world, you know, and these people are going to get us killed. They're going to get us killed if we have to take the reins and say, does this make any sense to you that there are areas where we are outnumbered 600 to 1? It doesn't compute to these people. And they immediately go back to making different types of excuses. And we just can't allow it to happen anymore. You know, from a strategic standpoint, you know, this is national security. You know, we can't do it that way or we're all going to be dead. Well, one of the things I want to say real quick is I put a bunch of statistics up there and juggled them around so people can look at them and go, wait a minute, some of these aren't consistent. That's part of the problem. There's a whole lot of statistics that are not consistent. Google keeps changing their algorithm And, one time you'll put in something and it'll come up and say, oh, there's only, 2,200 attacks a day. And you're sitting there going, what? That's insane. I've got a piece of phone software that shows that there's 30,000 attacks hitting my phones, So, and then you've got these, there's like lots of websites. You should be able to find, like 5, 6, 10 of them real quick. Live maps, they'll show you the live maps that way. For all the cyber attacks happening. And the percentage of cyber attacks that has continued to rise, it's no longer this thing where they can say it's a couple of kids in a garage. They used to say that. No, we have major blacklisting going on. If we don't shut these people down, we're not going to have elections, lives, or anything. They have to be shut down. With a worldwide estimate last year was over $10 trillion in damage. I've looked at statistics myself. I think it's closer to 14 trillion. Currently, we have, I want to say that it's over $4 trillion damage in the United States last year. That's a lot of money. These are people making huge dead zones, jamming people's phones, jamming networks to manipulate the stock market. These people are making vast sums of money on the stock market, on crypto. And there's people sitting there going, well, my device won't work. I can't get through to my bank, all this stuff. It's not the network being crowded. These are all pretty much cyber attacks. And pretty cheap piece of software can go right in. And my plan as president basically is $300 an hour is what you get compensated. I got people very mad about that. They're saying that doesn't come anywhere close. They're losing, they're putting millions of dollars up and they're losing big bucks. It says $300 an hour is a joke. But we're going to start it out $300 an hour, and we're going to have the insurance payout up front. In other words, it's kind of like taxes. You got to pay your taxes quarterly, except it's going to be an upfront fund that's cashed up. So all of these servers that are not the traceable types, verifiable types, where, like a lot of Microsoft stuff actually has traceability. It's kind of massive. And it used to be a lot of Amazon stuff and certain other stuff had traceability where you could verify that they were not doing cyber attacks. So you have all these gray server areas and dark server areas, and nobody who owns them. But the funny thing is the more you research companies, what I found is that 80% of the servers that were owned by GOP members in the United States. And this is a sampling. I couldn't afford to do a comprehensive. That had cost $10-15 million. But a sampling, a basic sampling, came out with that statistic. So with the enormity of the billions of cyber attacks every day, 14 billion attacks per day. It's just totally massive. Is kind of a minimum figure right now, and it's been going up. It's increased by 4 billion attacks in just like a year or two. So, in other words, by 2025, we're looking at probably over 20 billion attacks a day in the United States. These are people's lives being shut down.